Okay, thank you, Professor Goff. Okay, part 2. In an attempt to ditch his geeky side, rebellion came early in his teenage career. The Beatles had been replaced by the Smiths, and things started to get a little bit sketchy. Then came a haircut, a quiff. Vanity began to take hold over our good friend here. Crafting pop ditties became a 24-hour-a-day job, 7 days a week. Full-time job, 7 days a week. Full-time job. He degenerated for several years, ending up the frontman of a band, the name of which I've been warned not to release, except to say that they would have changed their name to Volvo had they ever been on top of the pops. You know that. At that time, if you fell into any of the clubs in the St. Helens area, you'd be faced with a skinny, pasty boy, goggles to the nines in flares, a fluffy orange tank top, a mop of bleach blonde hair topped off with a flat cap. Perhaps the sticker from a Granny Smith apple on his arm. It was baffling in a way. It was a wall of sound for the kind of screeched and ride through a 30-minute workout. It was punk, but he was around 20 years too late. Philip's performances quickly became the stuff of legend on the local scene. On any given night, he'd be instantly hit by a wall of profanity from such tracks as Arrogant Love, I Know Too Much, In Love with a Tosser, Bald Bastards That Ruin Our Lives, and these are pretty much the only titles. Again, it had to be toned down. Audiences flocked to witness, and it wasn't uncommon to hear insults and heckle being fired on stage, cigarettes being thrown, glasses of dubious liquid being hurled from the toilets. However, Philip gave way better than he ever got, and he rolled with every bloody nose that he deserved. Always with a well-crafted comeback, it'd be needless to say that Philip always had the last laugh. After 2 poor reviews and some tepid industry interest, the band thought themselves on the way to superstardom. But unfortunately for Philip, there was a crisis afoot. Unfortunately, it was a crisis of the mind. He'd been dabbling in philosophical ramblings for a number of years and had started peddling a PhD around the garden in his spare time. Academia was growing stronger and stronger, so in true philosophical fashion, it came down to a coin toss. Ended up being the best of 5, but it was decided that zombies, tables, and other nonsensical items were much more important than rock and roll, so he ditched the band for a move to the centre of consciousness, which was situated in an industrial park, in the middle of nowhere, in the desert, on the other side of the world, in Australia. With Philip's regeneration now complete, the remaining band are left bereft. However, they still perform Led Zeppelin covers on bank holiday weekends and are currently auditioning for singers. If anyone fancies a crack, give us a shout after the lecture. Thank you. I'll now hand you back to Professor Simon Goff for part 3, Mind and Body.
Philosophically, Phil believes that you can be sure of the mind, but that there's an element of doubt about the body. And you can easily see how that might be true in his case. It's a weak vessel, his body, for such a strong man. No athletic prowess has ever been ascribed to that heavy flesh. Its clumsy grasps, blind lunges, trips and spillages, phones dropped into lose, keys evaporating. The tango is beyond the man. He will never be able to fire a bow and arrow. To be honest, I'm amazed he can make coffee. Let me tell you this, I value my life. I will never be a passenger in a car driven by donkey. There has to be division of labour in any society. We must all play to our strengths and protect it from the But perhaps it isn't such a weak vessel at all. It can be run only on cheese and a supply of salt for days on end. Cheese is not safe from it in anybody's fridge. It grabs it with its paw. At nights, it simply requires litres of tap water to keep on going. Phil always takes at least 2 pints every night to bed. It's the sure sign that he's settling down when he pads past in his gym jams, toothpaste on his lips, 2 full pint glasses of tap water in his hand, as if thirst in bed was dangerous. Not that he sleeps, he barely sleeps. This is another strength perhaps. He's allowed a couple of hours of kip, and then he has to read to quieten the mind. And if an hour's reading doesn't do it, he gets up, goes to the bathroom, and rubs toothpaste on his lips. He rubs toothpaste on his lips as a soporific. He rubs toothpaste on his lips as a minty memoir of bedtime. He rubs toothpaste on his lips as a labial lullaby. And it works, and so he dozes. And so of course he oversleeps and has to rush out in the morning. Might even get through a few hours lecturing before he tastes that minty taste again. And all the funny looks he's received that day make sense. He's just lectured to 200 people with a mess of white toothpaste on his mouth. From the back row of the lecture hall, my informant tells me it looks as if the professors kissed the baker on the way to work. Or his flies down, or his jumper inside out, or he's just dropped a laptop uniquely on which is the final draft of his thesis. Theses in philosophy at any rate are, according to Phil, not things produced on a computer at a desk in a library. They are created in what he calls the office of the mind. A galling description of his workplace when you get home in the evening to find him still in bed with the laptop. No doubt many of you here share the general British contempt for academics. Lounging in thought on the lawn in the shaded quad, a leisured class free to speculate where others toil. You pay your taxes to support these clouds. You'll be happy to hear that, although you subsidised Phil for many years, you are doing this no longer. His services are now demanded by the world's billionaires. He is currently the lapdog of a Hungarian plutocrat. And a Russian oligarch, someone who is funding research that might lead to his own soul being downloaded into immortality before 2035, had him on his yacht, on a cruise to the yacht, along with other experts on human consciousness and the possibility of its extension. For Phil, consciousness is not peculiar to humans or even humans and animals. He thinks everything's animated. Tables have feelings, shoes have doubts. Bible makes promises. Such flights land one in foreign territory. Now he is married in a cathedral. At home now in the Anglican congregation, the road up here was steep. First Catholic, then skeptical philosopher, then philosopher leading the first cause, then Quaker, then Quranary, then Buddhist, then believer in some sort of hobbled divinity, unable to perfect things, then Unitarian, then Buddhist again. He tried the range. Now he's found what he wanted, a church that matches the compassionate drive of that in which he grew up, but has a broader tolerance for idiosyncratic theology, the church he is now married in. Please don't make me marry. Please don't make me reproduce. Please don't make me go on holidays on a boat.